For today's episode of Guest Practices, we turn our attention to the importance of being socially connected and active. That goes beyond just networking and into mastering the social media platforms that we need for ourselves and our business. We're in the digital age after all, and there's so much power at our fingertips. We just need to figure out how best to use it and drive the best engagement on the social media platforms which are most appropriate for us and our business. It's easier said than done. Many are still not confident in this space, and there's very little formal training or support beyond self-help learning tips, videos, etc. But often they can come with a hefty price tag if you want to go further. So what if there was a way to learn the ropes, learn from others, start with an oven-ready network of like-minded individuals for mutual support? Well, enter my Business Links Cafe. The brainchild of my guest for today, Heather Barrie, first, who is an entrepreneur, author, coffee roaster extraordinaire, speaker and owner of an array of hats for those of you that know her. With also Richard Davies, an experienced global learning and development pro, executive coach and non-executive director with his pulse directly on how business is evolving. We discuss the importance of being networked, being skilled up for the modern workplace and being connected. At the heart of this, we'll hear about their journey to provide a platform in my Business Links Cafe for those who want to power up their development and action in this area, and we'll learn the tips, tricks and watch outs for making progress. Let's hear more. Hello and welcome to this episode of Guest Practices. Heather and Richard, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Heather, let's start with you. Why don't you introduce yourself, please, your day job, and tell us a little bit more about my Business Links Cafe.
Thanks, Jeremy. It's great to be here. So I'm Heather Barrie. I call myself a Connection Alchemist, which I know is a bit of a made-up thing, but it really, it does what it says in the tin. It's the magic of bringing people together. I have a coffee business, so that's the day jobs are many and varied, but it's part of the day job. So I sell my gorgeous coffee to people at home, making Zoom calls tastier, offices, cafes, etc. So absolutely love that. But I discovered the concept of Fika when I was in Sweden, which is that it's their daily art of coffee, cake, and conversation. It's that stop, take a pause, and connect. And I've always been really keen about how we make that part of business culture, because we really need to stop. It's great for mental health. It's great for creativity. And that was a little bit of the story behind my Business Links Cafe, which I run with Richard. And it was about, I've got a network, you've got a network, let's bring it together at the beginning of lockdown. And we were using LinkedIn to kind of say, okay, it's great to meet people in the room. Actually, we've got these huge networks outside of the room. So how do we tap into that? How do I share my knowledge with your network, and Jeremy, your knowledge, and Richard's knowledge with my network? And that's how things have come about. So yeah, I connect people and drink great coffee. That's my day. It's fab.
That's great. I love that. And I love making Zoom calls taste better as well. I think that's we can all relate to that one as well. Richard, please introduce yourself as well.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yes. So sometimes I'm known as the partner in crime in this Business Links Cafe. Another moniker I go by is your LinkedIn profiler, more latterly, helping people tell their true value story on LinkedIn. But before all that, and what I bring to the party is I'm really into learning and all things tech and social in the LinkedIn area. I had a 25-year career in the corporate world in sales, marketing, and learning and development at Kellogg's and then at Shell. But I left all of that and I've been building a portfolio career. So very much like Heather, we sort of have a number of hats we wear. I don't have as many hats as Heather though. But so we do wear different hats. So I believe in the power of community, in helping people grow and helping them grow their business, which is really what we're all about.
And we were both very keen that the whole aspect of learning was also very much part of when we bring people together. You can spend hours on calls and so on, and you've not come away with anything new or a different perspective or a new insight or an inspiration. And so that whole learning aspect of things was always really important to us in terms of right from the beginning. That was always there.
Oh, I totally get that, Heather. And thank you for introducing yourself, Richard, as well. And just staying on that theme then, Heather, what's the importance, therefore, of being connected, networked, social media savvy, particularly as we've come through and emerging out of the pandemic? When you consider all of those things, it's about speed to learning, speed to performance, to engagement, mobilization, all of these things. What's your take on that?
I mean, if I sort of look back, all of the business that I've done, I want to say probably 99% of the business I've done has been through the connections that I have. It's that building that relational capital that we have. We can talk about all the resources and all of these things, but it's the relationships that we have, with each other, with our clients, with our suppliers, with our team. But for a lot of people who are, owner-run businesses, they don't necessarily have that group of people around them. And I think we realized that it was really important that for people who ostensibly work on their own, and particularly with lockdown, who are even more isolated from people, is that having that community of people where you can have the shared experience of learning, I've had that issue before, let me learn from you. That this is a great way, and it's lovely to help other people. We're human beings, we love to help others. And then the other thing is also just in terms of how we the networking, but it's 6 degrees of separation. Who knows who, and I think that's really important. And we need, especially as we go through challenging times, it's really important that we have those connections, that we can lean into other people. That is absolutely, it's core to keeping our businesses and keeping inspired.
Yeah, there's a couple of really important points there. I love the terminology relational capital and thinking in that space. So that goes with the making Zoom calls taste better. You're on a hat trick now.
I'm on a hat trick.
On that one. But you raised an interesting point about the 6 degrees of separation, because I'm doing some social selling work with one of my clients. And I'm saying that, within this world that you're creating this space for my Business Links Cafe, is that you're really 1 degree separated these days. Even if you look on LinkedIn, for example, at your 2nd or 3rd degree contacts, they can connect you into, or you be close to things. So it's so important, which raises the question, Richard, what is the cost of ignoring this, of ignoring social media, the opportunities offered, the new skill sets that we can all develop by embracing it?
Well, thanks, Jeremy. Well, in one word, the cost is massive. Mahusive. So you'll actually, you'll miss out on potentially life-changing opportunities. So I'm giving you my top 3 reasons why you can't afford to ignore social media. But before doing that, I actually only focus on one channel, and that's LinkedIn. It's the leading social channel for business people, with 756 million members and 57 million companies listed across 200 countries. So that's probably big enough. So back to the top 3 then. So if you ignore social media, you will suffer from 3 things. 1, lack of visibility. 2, restricted access to new clients or jobs. And 3, lack of credibility. So let's just talk about visibility now. The thing about today is everyone uses search to find experts. So I think you should view the LinkedIn algorithm, or any algorithm really, as your talent agent. So if you don't have a social profile that articulates your true value, with the right keywords, then your digital talent agent simply can't serve up your details to the people and organizations who are looking for experts with, your talent, your skills and your experience. So that brings us on to the second point, which is really access to new clients, new jobs, roles, positions. If you don't have a good profile on LinkedIn, you shut the door on prospects and jobs. So I did a little bit of research. 120, a study recently done found 122 million people received an interview through LinkedIn, with 35.5 million being hired by a person they connected with on the site. So not surprising that 3 people hired through LinkedIn every minute. So that's why it's important, but it's not only that. It's also around the third point, which is the credibility. If you are ignoring social, you are going to hamper your credibility. So even in, let's just say it's old school time, and you use your personal network to win new business or get a new job. Trouble is, people check you out on LinkedIn to see if what you're saying is matches your CV, for example. And the thing about LinkedIn is you get social proof. It's more than a CV, because, you have comments if you've been posting from other people. You have recommendations on your profile. So when someone's doing due diligence about hiring you, be that as a freelancer, a company, or for a new role, they want to see what others have to say about you. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't say this too strongly. Ignore it at your peril.
Quite right, too. Some gold in here as well. LinkedIn as your talent agent. I love that. Is that visibility. I think that 1 and 3, you're right, is really the sandwich that brings it all together. Because if you can start to master all of these things and build that credibility, that social proofing is so key. I think I was reading from Rain Group, who do quite a lot on LinkedIn as well, is that over 70% of C-level buyers or decision makers will look at your profile actively and make a decision based on not just the exchanges with you, but actually the profile and how you're using it.
Yeah, I agree. And actually that also applies particularly for non-executives, where the due diligence is really important. So if you imagine you're trying to hire a non-executive to your board, you're going to want to check out the breadth and depth of who these people really are. And anyone can write anything on a CV, but it's so telling when you look at something that's got more dimensions to it. So yes, as well as executives, it applies to non-execs.
Well, it does. And when you're talking about the very top of the organization, we have to include executive boards into this, boards, advisors, officers, non-exec directors, because these are the skill sets for today. It's about getting yourself out there. That personal branding and the business branding is as important. It's the springboard to move forward. It's your visibility, it's your credibility, all of these things. So it sounds like that you guys have stepped into a space, because I know there are many people out there who aren't confident in this. They don't talk as eloquently as you two about it. They're looking for help. So Heather, maybe coming back to you, why in that context did you feel it was important to create My Business Links Cafe in the first place? And how did you go about making it the success that it's now become?
I think it's, and I think following on from what Richard was saying is that, there's a lot of thing where people sort of see that kind of end result of this, very slick looking profile and all the rest of it, but there's actually a huge amount of groundwork to do. We did realize, as I say, it started off, it was a little bit more around the networking with the learning, and actually we've moved on quite a lot from that, and we've actually sharing with you, and we've come up with a bit of a matrix now, because links, for those of you who don't know, stands for learning, impact, networking, collaboration, and support, and they're all really important things. And whatever level you're at, and I think even somebody, for example, who's going into non-exec, if you're switching from that exec to a non-exec role, if you haven't done the groundwork of really sort of putting yourself out there in terms of your sort of having clarity around your profile and what you do for whom, when you sort of suddenly going to apply for the job, if you haven't done the groundwork, it puts you at a disadvantage. And I think that's really important. And I think how we've grown particularly is very much the sort of people we've attracted. We have a great chemistry, Richard and I. We're very different. We're a bit out there. If people are, it's about engaging and inspiring people. And I think if people want to just sit back, do their 30 seconds, and crack on and do it that way, there are groups out there, but we really encourage engagement. But also for people who, as you say, are a little bit nervous about getting into this new online world, sometimes, you might suddenly discover that you're, running a business that you never thought you would do before. We are very much encouraging of people who are kind of novices. We've got lots of experience in terms of, how to do your pitching and so on. We've both had lots of experience of different methods of just creating a safe place, I think, is really important as well, for people to be able to go, Chatham House rules, what's said in the room stays in the room, in terms of growing and understanding who you are and what you do for your clients. Because I think that goes through a bit of a transition. So I think it's allowing that space for people to explore themselves and their own business, as well as anything else. That's part of the learning, I suppose. So yeah, it really is about creating an environment where people can flourish. I really like the word flourish. It's a great word. So yeah, without getting involved in that, I know we use LinkedIn a lot, but social media can also be, dare I say it, the suckhole of time. You can disappear into rabbit holes so easily, and you kind of come out of it, and what have you achieved? Absolutely nothing. And so we really try and sort of make things a little bit more compact so that your time spent online is really valuable. You've learned something, you've grown, you've interacted with somebody, you've had some immediate feedback, and you get on with your day with a new insight or a new way of doing something. So we try and make things as effective and efficient, but in a really, it's fun. Business should be fun. It shouldn't. You got to leave the day with a smile on your face. What's the point? So yeah, it's very much bringing all of those things together, but in that sort of safe and inspiring environment.
Yeah, and it does sound like that you've mined a rich seam of need that has been out there for many people to come into it. And of course, I've been engaged and inspired by it myself. I'm a member. When I moved back to this country and had no network anywhere, it was you both that really welcomed me in. And what really made the difference versus other networking and learning communities that are online and these sort of self-help and supportive groups is that it was so much fun and so welcoming as well, very human. And that's what we can forget sometimes.
Absolutely. And it is about community. We are really strong on that. It's community and what everybody brings. Everybody brings something different. And it's that interaction comes back to the relational capital. It's the relationships that have grown in the last 15 months are awesome. It's just fantastic to see what has emerged out of it. It's very gratifying.
Yeah, looking from the outside in, it's clear to see. And of course, Richard, just bringing you in here, it's evolved since those early days because of the success that you've had. So perhaps you can tell us a little bit about that journey and where you feel it's going to go in the next 15 months.
Thanks, Jeremy. Sure. So really the first stage one, it was a weekly networking and LinkedIn engagement. We didn't have a website. We used Eventbrite. It was pay as you go. And we just gathered on Zoom. So we spent a couple of hours. First hour was around networking, but the second hour was around posting and sharing and supporting each other and helping get our word out there. So that was what we were doing. We really moved after a few months of doing that, and we've got this thing. Philosophy is a grand word for it, but we do believe in building the plane whilst flying it. So let's not sit and try and over-design anything. Let's just do it and see what happens. And sometimes hilarious things happen, which is all part of the fun. So the second stage then, we thought the big shift was we need to move this onto a membership model. And at the same time, if we're going to do that, we have to increase the value and we have to just build on what the community was just happening naturally. So we thought, well, we need to take care of that and build it more. So we introduced the membership. We also introduced weekly masterminds. So we have 2 live meetings a week. That's where you get more in-depth support and wisdom from the crowd. It's very personal. Going back to what you're saying, it's very human. It's pragmatic, but it can also be very strategic. And you never know what you're going to get in one of those sessions on a Tuesday. So it's a different flavour from a Thursday, definitely, which is the other day when we're doing the networking and LinkedIn posting. The other thing we introduced at the back end of last year was the monthly Links Learning and Growth Summits. Now, Heather's explained what Links stands for. It's a very popular format where we pair up 6 experts to tackle subjects that matter to owner-managed businesses that want to grow. Now, that could equally apply for small SMEs, and actually, come to think of it, maybe there's something to be learnt from the agility in startups, in corporate, actually. And so maybe it's more applicable than our intended target or our niche. So we do that on the last Monday of every month. So there's a lot of learning in there, and we found a format for active learning on Zoom. Adding sort of learning as well as flavour to that. And we include half an hour networking, because actually in networking, whilst it's not everything we do, it is in the DNA, so you can't have an event without that. And this is all supported by a membership hub, where we've got resources and posts. We're building a catalogue of resources that can help, and we've gone for a sort of standalone social platform, very innovative. Check it out. It's called Eugenie, and so we have our hub there. So that's how we've evolved, and really, and then we got a website as well. Oh, Barney! So we actually have a website. So we're all grown up. Where next? Well, we have like an absolute boatload of ideas. If anything, that's part of our problem, is we have so many ideas. Which ones do we choose? But I'll focus on one, which is our corporate offer. So this is where we're looking for small, medium-sized organizations who like to provide their prospects and their clients access to a really high-quality, sort of fun, engaging learning event. And that's our Links conferences. We serve up, so consider it as this. It's like serving up a new generation, a new version of corporate hospitality. This isn't about just sitting down and having passive conversations around, the weather. This is business brain food. Yeah, that's virtual and entertaining, and we bring that to you. So we help organizations thereby strengthen the value, and it also gives them new reasons to have new and different types of conversations to strengthen the relational capital with their potential and existing clients. So for that, whilst at the moment we have individuals coming along to our Links Learning and Growth sites, we're offering corporate subscriptions where people can have a block of tickets and bring people along as their guests. So that's one big area of where we're going next.
And,
wow.
and the other one that's really exciting. We've just started bringing people in. For example, an accountancy firm. How can you add value to all the things you already do as an accountancy firm? The firm doesn't want to be putting on a summit every month. Believe you me, we do all that. We line things up, and as Richard was saying, we have sort of 6 speakers providing really unusual perspectives. It's not just your standard kind of training. There's lots of that out there. So we really try to inspire, as I say, that's a word I've said a number of times today. But the other thing in terms of going forward is that we've created the Links Matrix, which is basically it looks a little complicated, but it's actually a really simple way of taking those 5 key elements and saying, what do we need to work on within your business as it's growing, as you're going from your sort of startup early stages through your growth phase and towards scale, because there's a lot of people doing the scale stuff and lots of courses around scaling. There's a lot of stuff as you start up, but that whole phase in the middle where you really need to be embedding so many things and building that relational capital and creating your own ecosystem. So we've created this fabulous matrix. I'm very excited about it. So we're looking to roll out some courses in the very near future to inspire people to basically just take them on a journey to kind of really get those foundations really solid, but also create relationships as they go so that they can build to a sense of sort of confidence, what they're doing is the right thing, and it's really built around where they want to go as a business, because we've all got different sort of ideas of what our success might look like. So if your success and my success look completely differently. So there's not a one size fits all. So by using the matrix, it's a really exciting idea. If anybody's seen the film, I haven't seen it for a long time, but that whole idea of a matrix is that you build things around the outcome that you want, not necessarily that this worked for me to get me to 6 figures, so you must follow this track. No, that's not how it works. And again, bringing other people through the community inspires you to kind of get to the thing that really does what you want.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to. I always knew that the Matrix was real, Heather. So thanks for confirming that.
It's real on this little piece of paper.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll try and get that on screen as you're talking about it there. So hopefully you listening, or those viewers at least watching it, will be able to see what you're talking about there as you're refining it. But just going back a step to where you were coming in, Richard, on a few things. There were some things that really resonated here, that speed that you've been going at, and the fact that a 70% solution is okay, because you just refine it as you go along, and that humanizes it, doesn't it? It's like, we don't get it right. That's the fail fast, fail early, fail forward, that you've absolutely demonstrated it. And I sort of love sort of a summary of a lot of the things that you brought together. In my head, sort of the terminology crowd learning came in together through your community, your experts, with the founders, your masterminds, the summits, what you have on Eugenie as well, to get people so many resources that you've built. I think you both should be really proud of that. And of course, in the spirit of that, and for those listening and watching this, perhaps we can learn a little bit as well for those going on the journey. So what tips, Richard, just staying with you for a moment, or actions could you suggest for anyone who wants to sort of power up their own social networking or learning or communities like this through platforms like LinkedIn?
Okay, so I've got 2 tips and I have a 5-point checklist for you. So here we go. So first of all, number 1, tell your story. People remember stories, not bullet points. So do this on your profile. If your profile, honestly, if it's just a sea of bullet points and an online version of your CV, it ain't good enough. You're going to have to sort this quickly. Sorry, tough love, you need to sort it. The second thing is post at least once a week. So that's content. They've just doubled the number of characters. It used to be 1,300 characters, including spaces, which is not a lot of words. They've more or less doubled that recently. So there's plenty of scope there. Now, you add value, ask questions, create polls. Here's a factoid. Only 1% of LinkedIn members post once a week. So publish your value content and you'll stand out. So really, those are the 2. Tell your story and post at least once a week. Now, my 5 checklist things relates to what you mentioned, personal branding earlier, Jeremy. So, we all have a personal brand, whether you like it or not. Whether you want one, you do. Because it's what happens when someone Googles you and they click on it, and more often than not, it'll probably be your LinkedIn profile. Depends if you're high profile, it'll be a press release, or it could be something on or a bio on your website. Oh, speaking of which, there you go, my phone.
Zoom 101.
What you have to do...
always learning. We're always learning.
What you have to do is realize that this is not a slick machine at all. Just power on. Anyway, so a personal brand, right? So what is a personal brand? Well, it's not about you. It really isn't. It's about how others perceive you. So think about that. It's not about you. It's about how others perceive you. So here's a 5-point checklist. Does your LinkedIn profile, 1, convey what you are like to work with? 2, give a sense of how you operate. 3, tell your human story. 4, does your profile include recommendations from people who've worked with you? Nice words from people who've worked with you. And finally, and this is something most of people are doing now, have a customized profile banner. Yeah, an image at the top of a profile that communicates something relevant about you. So my question is, if you go back through that, if you're listening to this on the video, then rewind, and how many can you tick? Yeah, and I suggest we want to go for a full house and tick all 5. So there you go. That's a little checklist.
That's some excellent points there, and the start point with what's your story is a fantastic tip to start with as well. That was really I'm really surprised. 1% of linked people post once a week. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, there's 700. Think about it. There seems to be a lot going on, and if you've got a lot of people in your network, which you will have, you'll see some names coming up the whole time. But there's 756 million people out there. So there's a lot of people who probably only spend 15 minutes a month on LinkedIn. And you can understand why that is. I mean, when I was in corporate land, I probably spent less than that. Because when you are building a portfolio career, building a consultancy, or wanting to develop a non-executive, or anything where you're paddling your own canoe, then it becomes super relevant. But for an awful lot of people, if you're a sales role, you're probably using it. Regardless of the size of organization, so much is done through LinkedIn Sales Navigator and B2B space. It's extraordinary. But generally, a lot of people are there, lurkers, there to see what's going on. They may read it when they're on their commute. but they're not writing. And we find that in the community. A lot of people, when they come in, this is the first time. And by having a weekly event when you're gathering with other like-minded people who are supportive and who will also point out any typo kindly that you may have made, or ask a question if something doesn't quite make sense. If you haven't got that, then a lot of people are thinking about doing it, but not doing it.
Yeah, it really
very interesting.
It really does encourage people to write more. And we've noticed over time how people's writing has changed and evolved. When they're doing their pitches and stuff, it's changed, it's evolved, it's become confident, it's become much more articulate, which is brilliant.
Well, staying with you then on this, Heather, because you'll have seen many coming into your network, you'll have been on this journey yourself. So what are the common traps to avoid for those who are either starting on this journey or inspired by your words today to help create some early wins?
So I think some early wins. I think if I focus on the networking a little bit, because we did that's where we started. I've been an avid networker. I think that's the polite expression, for 15 years. I've done a lot of it, a lot of experience. And I think that the thing is to not be scared of it. You've got to just step up and give it a go. For anybody, you've got to start somewhere, and a lot of people are being sort of thrust into it. But like Richard, I've actually got some quick tips in terms of the networking, and some of it is it's about looking at different events. Sometimes you go for one and think, oh, this is not for me. It might just not be the right group. So there's a lot of free stuff. Or you can trial things. So give lots of different types of networking a go. There's a lot out there. Give it a whirl. And if you don't like one, and ask people for recommendations as to where you might go. When you are sat in a Zoom room with 40 people staring back at you, and you just, by the third person, you've completely forgotten what everybody does. So for that very reason, you've got to be memorable. Whatever you do. Okay, my hats are my thing, but everybody remembers me because of my hats. Even when we were, doing event, networking live, I walk into a room wearing whatever hat I feel like on the day, and everybody knows who I am and what I do. Whereas when you've heard the 17th person say that they, create websites, you can't remember. So be memorable, but also be really curious. 2 ears, one mouth, use them in proportion, listen to what other people are looking for, because when you've got 40 people saying their thing, you're only going to really tune into a few. You might do some breakout rooms, but tune into a few. And if you think, because it's how well the other people network as well. So if Jeremy happened to say, I'm looking for somebody who does X, make a quick note. And it's how powerful is it to go back to that person afterwards, connect with them on LinkedIn and go, Jeremy, I thought you might like to meet up with Richard because I'm sure he can help you with that. It just makes you look like a lovely, helpful human being. So be curious, but also be focused on what you want to get out of that hour. If you do lots of networking and you just go in and endlessly repeat your pitch, and then you get to the end of the week and you're going to go, well, I've spent 8 hours and my hourly rate's 50 quid an hour. Well, that's £400. Did I make £400 in sales or profit this week to pay for that time? And I know networking is a cumulative thing. It is about building that relational capital, but you've got to get a return at some point. So yeah, be curious, but also be focused on what you want out of it. Engage with just a few people. You cannot meet all 40. Don't try and do it. And yeah, following up is really important. So those people things you've made in the chat room. So this is a quick top tip. In the chat bar, do not write your life history. Promise you, nobody cares. They really don't. They don't want to read it. Wonderful thing called Linktree. It's free. My details for this podcast are on Linktree. You can put all sorts of details in there for free, but it's just one little thing. Your title, Connection Alchemist. Here are all my important connections. Really simple. And if you can do that, it again makes you stand out. So do that. So you can follow up really easily with the people who you want to, and above all, have fun. That's what you're there for. It's got to be fun. So yeah, those are my super top tips for just being an effective networker and building that relational capital, and just keep building, because you never ever know who is in the room and who you're going to meet.
Well, and I think it's very, very sensible and something that we talk about even in business a lot as well, which is, what is your objective? What's the return on experience that you're looking for and how are you going to measure that success? We don't often think about that when we come into these kind of spaces. And then standing out, actively listening, following up, these things that we know, but we just don't practice it in these different environments like that. So thanks. Well, we've rapidly come to the end of our time here. But what an inspirational and engaging session with you both. So really to try and distill what we've done, Richard, perhaps you can leave us with 2 or 3 key messages that you'd reinforce from what we've covered today.
Well, that's tricky, isn't it? I think what I'm going to do is be a little bit cheeky and spell out our formula for business growth, which has in one word. And we've heard it and we've used it many times, and it is links. So sorry to come back to that. So let's just recap what that means. L is for learning. Yeah, absolutely. Keep learning. Yeah, every day is a school day. And there's so much opportunity out there. So learn about the things you can do to make yourself stand out, or whether that's live networking or whether that's on your profile. I is impact. Well, it's kind of the same. So take what you've learned and then use it. Write your pitch, practice it, post once a week. And networking, well, I hardly need to say, Heather's covered that. C is collaboration. And, even if you're not part of a community, find smart people to partner with, and it makes 2 of you rowing the boat and it goes faster. And the last one is S for support. And that really is echoing, what Heather was saying about finding community of like-minded people who can support you in your personal growth and also your business growth. So, yeah, find a community. We all need help. So we're not islands. So that's the little framework. And we're living it and using it, and it works.
What a great way to summarize it. And it sounds like it's going to be so valuable as it evolves even further for a much broader set of people. So, Heather, maybe, how do people get involved with My Business Links Cafe, and how do they get in touch with you?
So the easiest thing is to either get hold of myself or Richard. We're both all over LinkedIn. We're very easy to find there. I think there's probably a picture of me in a hat, and I'm there are not many Heather Barries, a few more Richard Davises, but there is one and only. And so get hold of us there. Also, we have it's a simple website, but it gives you the details, and it's literally mybusinesslinks.cafe. Links with a C, mybusinesslinks.cafe. And just reach out to us, send us a direct message on LinkedIn. We'd love to have a bit of a chat and invite you along to come and experience the cafe, because I think actually that's the power of it. Come and experience it. It's very different to anything out there. And we will welcome you with open arms and just see how we can enable you to achieve, that success that is so personal to you, but something that you can share with others and have others along for the journey.
Great. Well, all the links that you've just mentioned are at the bottom of the screen now as you're looking at it. And I've been inspired and engaged and mobilized by this. I can vouch for it. I'd recommend everybody to get in touch, have a chat, see what fits for you and what works for you, and dive in. So, Richard, Heather, thank you so much for joining me. That's been an absolutely great session.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you so much for asking us on. It's great.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining our Guest Practices videocast. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel through the link below, or check out our website to access more in our current series of expert interviews.